Blog Talk Radio.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Women of Golf Show this beautiful Tuesday morning, April 21st, 2015. I'm a little excited this morning for a couple of reasons. We've got a great show for you. I'm going to tell you about that in just a second. But the sun is actually shining here in Florida, at least in my part of Florida. Today it's been cloudy and rainy and overcast for probably, it seems like, forever, and I'm just glad and excited to see the sun today to get out and enjoy a little bit. But anyways, great to be here this morning. Of course, I'm your host, Ted Odorico, and alongside me is a great lady, Legends Tour player and LPGA professional, Cindy Miller. Good morning, Cindy.
Good morning, Ted. How are you?
Well, as I said, much better this morning. We've been under some gray skies and just been terrible here for the last week.
Well, it poured here yesterday, but it's sunny today, and it's about 50 degrees, so there is hope for spring to come. But I must tell you something that we did today.
What's that?
Or this weekend. We had a Titleist Performance Institute event at the Whirly Golf Dome with adults.
Oh, wow.
And typically, I am TPI Junior certified, so typically you don't do that with older people, but we have partnered with a physician, Dr. Mike Cicchetti at Buffalo Spine and Sports, and Mike Kaminska, a physical therapist, to help people not hurt when they play. So It was really pretty cool. We had about 20 people, and we did some warm-up exercises, and then we showed them how they could swing the club so that they can play until they croak.
Well, and that's the great thing about golf, isn't it? I mean, you can play. I mean, I've known people that are well into their 80s and even 90s that are still playing this great game today, and a lot of other sports. I mean, you still see a few people play tennis, but it's not the same type of. And I'm not saying that golf doesn't have its issues with the swing as far as impact and things like that, but it's not like tennis or some of your other sports that are very high impact in the joints. So, that's fantastic, and that we're seeing a lot of seniors still out there playing, and some of them may only play 9 holes, like I'm sure you've witnessed, Cindy, and some of the seniors that you've worked with. But that's something that I think is fantastic, and I love about this sport is the fact that you can play at all ages.
Yeah, definitely. And there's a lot of people have bad backs and elbows and hurt themselves while they're playing. So needless to say, it's better to learn to swing and not rotate quite as much so that you can maximize your distance potential without hurting your body.
Right. And, and let me just say for those of you that are tuning into the program this morning that might be making up all kinds of excuses why you can't play, and Cindy, you may also know a number of people in the business that do this, but I have a few that actually have been guests on my other show, Golf Talk Live, which airs Thursday nights. But I've had a number of teacher professionals and other golf professionals who work with a lot of handicapped or particularly some of the veterans that have been coming back here who may unfortunately have been missing a limb here and there. And they're out there playing this great game. So there's no excuses for anybody not to get out there and play, whether you are sporting a physical handicap or what have you. There's ways to work around it. There's some great teaching professionals out there that some who specialize in that area. So if you're somebody out there that thinks, well, I don't know if I can, I'm getting a little older, or maybe I've got some physical challenges that I need to overcome, you can search out some great men and women in this great game that can certainly help you overcome some of those challenges and to be able to go out there and enjoy the game. But, Cindy, let me just take a quick minute here just to remind everybody that we are live every Tuesday morning from 9 to 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Quickest way to get us is to go to www.blogtalkradio.com/Women of Golf. Or you can just go to blogtalkradio.com, up a search key, and type Women of Golf, and that'll also bring you to the main page. You can tune into the show. Obviously, we are all over social media. I post the show, and Cindy reposts the shows pretty much every week as well on Facebook and Twitter and all the key social media sites. So you can certainly find us there. And it's also available for download through iTunes. So go to itunes.com, go into the podcast section, and just type in Women of Golf, again, up in the search key, and that'll bring you not only to the current show, but also some of the previous shows that Cindy and I have done here over the last little over a year now. So you can find them there as well. So if you've missed any of the ones, go back there, and lots of great stuff to be had. But we're glad that you're joining us live here this morning. And as I said, we got a great show this morning, Cindy. Two great ladies are going to be joining us here shortly. This past weekend, as we know, that the inaugural Chico's Berg Memorial tournament was launched down in Florida, and it hosted the Symetra Tour as well as the Legends Tour, respectively. And two great winners, Augusta James, of course, of the Symetra Tour, and Lori Rinker, who was the winner from the Legends Tour side of things. They're going to be joining us here in just a few moments, and then a little bit later on in the broadcast, Mike Nichols, the Chief Business Officer from the Symetra Tour, Road to the LPGA, is going to be joining us here in about a half an hour or so. But great show and an interesting event, isn't it?
Absolutely. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah,
absolutely great.
Yeah, and one of the things that I want to, we've seen a lot of crossovers, and I'm going to talk to, we'll talk to Mike when he comes on and see what some of the other future plans, if they have any other ideas like that they're planning on doing in the years to come. But, we've seen a lot of tour challenges. Wendy's had for a long time the 3 tour challenges where they had the LPGA and the Champions players, and also the regular PGA Tour. They've done events like that, but this is a little bit unique, I think, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's never been done that I can remember, but what a great idea to have the befores and the afters.
Yeah, and of course, leave it up to the ladies to be the ones to bring this first and foremost. So kudos to all of the people on not only the Symetra Tour but the Legends Tour as well for working so hard together. And it sounds like it was a great event. And also, too, something I want to talk about when we get going here with the ladies is Augusta, of course, is Canadian, a fellow Canadian, which most of you know by now from me talking about it that I'm Canadian. And it seems here, just from some of the information I've been reading here lately, that on the Symetra Tour that some of the Canadians are taking charge and taking a charge this season. It's very interesting.
Yeah, they certainly are.
And
there's a lot of great Canadian players. A few weeks ago, wasn't it like 5 of the top 10 were Canadian?
Yeah, exactly. And I think the previous event was won by a Canadian as well. So I don't know what's happened to the Canadian guys out there, but the ladies are certainly are having their way. But a lot of great things in golf. And as we were talking off air, I know you were busy with a lot of things, so you didn't get a chance to watch really too much this weekend. And I, unfortunately, as I was harping about here at the beginning, we had some unexpected I shouldn't say unexpected. They've been calling about it now for the last week, but some really bad weather that's been coming through the northwest part of Florida here and some of the lower southern states, and it's just been wreaking havoc on everybody's cable and you name it. They actually had a few tornadoes from Texas coming through Mississippi, and I think lower Alabama got hit with one through the weekend as well. So some bad weather, and as I said, I'm glad to see the sun shining today, and looking forward to hopefully a good full week. So what have you got on the agenda this week, Cindy? Anything exciting happening?
Yes, I was waiting for you to ask me. So I'm tomorrow morning at the crack of dawn, I am flying to Reno where I will be speaking with Patty Sheehan and a bunch of other people, football players, at the National Role Model Summit.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
very
isn't that
interesting.
cool?
Yeah, very interesting.
So
now
with Marcus Spears of the Dallas Cowboys and Brian Polian, who is Bill Polian's son, who's a football coach, David Wise, Chris Johnson, a former football player, James Michael Johnson, even some mixed martial arts. So what it is, I'm not really totally sure, but I'm thrilled that Patty and Rebecca and the Role Model Summit people asked me to come speak. We're going to be sent to different schools, so a bunch of different high schools, and we're going to inspire and motivate those children to pursue their personal potential.
Wow, very good.
Isn't that cool?
You get some really interesting gigs, don't you? You get a lot of you get to participate in a lot of interesting
how did that
things.
happen? You know what? I believe it came right out of the sky.
Well, listen,
so
Cindy,
I get to hang out with Patty Sheehan, and I get to go help inspire a bunch of kids to be all that they can be. So I'm very thrilled and honored, and I can't wait to get out there and do it.
Well, I can't think of a better ambassador in the game to do that, Cindy. You've got lots of lots of great information and tidbits to share with some of the future, hopefully some future stars in golf, and if not, even if they don't make it up onto the level of the professional league, certainly some great life lessons I'm sure are going to be learned. But speaking of some greats, we're ready to bring our guests out this morning. So let me just very quickly introduce them, and then we'll bring on Augusta James and Lori Rinker. Augusta, as I mentioned, is a Canadian from Kingston, Ontario. She was born, actually, interesting enough, on the first round of the 1993 Masters tournament. I feel old. 22 years later, and just 1 week after the 2015 Masters, she carded a 5-under 67 on Sunday to win the Chico's Patty Berg Memorial, her first professional win. And with her paycheck of the week, she moves from number 58 to number 1 top spot, as I understand it, on the Volvic Race for the Card money list. So very interesting. And also Lori Rinker, who won the Legends Tour portion of the Chico's Patty Berg Memorial. She had a 2-day total. Of course, it was only 2 days for the Legends gals with a 5-under. And she carded an even par 72 on the Sunday. And as she put it, it's always great to win. This was a great event. She enjoyed it, obviously, having Chico's as a title sponsor, and it felt good to be a champion on the Legends Tour. And this was her 4th win on the Legends Tour. So, Cindy, without any further hesitation, let's bring on Augusta James and Lori Rinker.
Good morning, ladies.
Good morning, Cindy.
Good morning, ladies, and congratulations on your wins.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
Well, we're glad that you sorry, go ahead, Cindy.
Were you guys paired together?
We were not. Unfortunately, we were not.
Augusta,
who did you play with on Sunday? Sorry?
Augusta shot a marvelous 5-under in the blustery conditions. So she was a couple groups back, I think, from the last group.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't play in the last group, and she was in the last group for sure, defending her first round score.
Wow, that's amazing. Great round, Augusta. And you too, Lori. First round was amazing.
Not bad for an old lady, huh, Cindy?
Yeah, when I grow up, I want to be just like you. Holy cow.
I know, you keep telling me that.
Well, ladies, let me start off. We'll start off with Augusta here. As I was mentioning in the intro, Augusta, this was win number 1 for you on the professional level, which put you on top card money list from number 58. What were your thoughts coming in the last few holes on Sunday?
I just try to keep my thoughts really simple. My caddy and I just did our same routine every shot, and I just had to focus on the shot at hand. I couldn't let my emotions get to me or my mind start racing around the other possibilities, or else I don't think I would have been able to close the round off.
At what hole did you know? Were you leading the tournament earlier in the day when you started off on Sunday, or was this something that you sort of took the lead throughout the round?
Yeah, I was one back going into the final round. So I started the final round one back, and throughout the round I did take the lead. However, I didn't look at any scoreboards this week. That was one of my goals, and and so I definitely could tell, when media starts showing up and things like that out on the course, you can tell things are happening, and I knew I was playing a good round, but I didn't know any specifics, and I'm happy that I kept it that way.
At what point in the round, in the final round, did you actually come to realize that, hey, I'm leading this now and I've got a serious chance at winning?
Like I said, I didn't really know any of the specifics. I obviously knew that I was giving myself a really good chance to win with the round that I was putting together, but I was just really focused on hitting shots close and giving myself opportunities for birdie, because that's all you can do is go out there and play for yourself and play against the course and play against yourself, Right,
exactly. And Lori, obviously this was win number 4 on the Legends Tour for you. How did it feel to be back in the winner's circle?
Felt really good. We have a schedule where we don't play as often, and so sometimes it's a little difficult to stay in that competitive mode. So I was just, really blessed to get off to a great start on the first round, and because, like I said, Sunday's round was much more difficult, I thought, because of the conditions. So it was really nice to have that little cushion I had.
What were some of the conditions that you were facing on Sunday?
It was just quite windy, and the courses looks like it's not maybe that difficult, but the greens are very tricky. It's an old course that's built in the 50s, and you get some putts that you're going uphill and downhill, and it seems like I hit it fairly similar the second round as I did the first round, but I seemed to put myself in positions where I had a little tougher putts. So, it's just with those wind conditions, it was harder to kind of manage where my ball was going.
Did you find it as equally challenging, Augusta, for you as well with the wind?
I did find the wind a challenge on the last day. I'm fortunate to play on 2 golf courses, one in Raleigh and the Loyalist Golf Course up in Canada, that are very windy. So I do get a lot of practice in the wind. I think that really helps me in situations like that for sure. But she's right. The green, the pin locations on the green, they were in some tricky spots, and so it was important to be kind of rolling the ball in from outside of maybe a comfort zone to get the low scores that last day, I think.
Yeah. Cindy, have you got some questions there?
Augusta, where did you play in college?
I did, yes, ma'am, at North Carolina State University.
For my friend Paige Marsh, who I played a lot of junior golf with and college golf with.
Yes, ma'am. Paige is a fantastic player and a great coach too.
I kept seeing these NC State tees broken on the markers, and I was trying to figure out who the heck it was, and I realized from Facebook it was
me. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Were you the low round on Sunday, Augusta?
Yes, ma'am, I believe so.
He had to be, I would think.
So there's
Wow.
a testament to being able to practice in adverse conditions and getting really good at it. You definitely had an advantage. That's amazing.
Well, I mean, of course, we're all going to take some days off that are in the rain or just like very windy and things like that, but it's important to push yourself and make sure that you're going to be okay in those situations when they happen in events, because you're not getting out of them.
Let me ask you a question. How was it playing? I played in Rosie's tournament a few years ago when she has the college girls. So, Lori, answer this first. Were you welcomed by the Symetra Tour players, and did they ask you any questions about maybe trying to pick your brain and getting more wisdom? And then,
No.
Augusta, I'm going to ask you the same thing. How was it playing with the Legends Tour players? Lori, go ahead.
Okay, so the first round, I was paired with people that maybe had just made the cut by one stroke, so it was a little more relaxed, and I felt like I talked to them a lot more. And obviously, we're playing competition, so I can't give them advice out there, but we just had fun chitty-chatting about different things and about life on tour, and at the end, the young lady, one of the ladies I played with was a former LPGA player, so I knew her, and then the other lady was actually won Rosie's event 2 years ago, and great player, and she seems to maybe get a little short on patience, and I just said, you got a great game, and just keep playing, and you just got to stay focused in that process. Then on Sunday, I'm in the last group of the leaders, so it's kind of like, there it was harder to really converse because they're trying to win a tournament, so we kind of stayed out of each other's way. We had some good conversations about different things, but not anything particularly about playing the tour or anything like that. But I played with a girl from Canada that hit the ball further than any woman I've ever seen hit the ball.
Really?
Wow.
Yes.
Do you remember her name?
I would completely agree.
Do you remember her name?
Augusta, you probably know who I'm talking about. Maude?
Yeah, it's Maude Aimee LeBlanc. Yes, ma'am.
There you go.
Wow.
That was her name.
Augusta, what about you?
If there is a place to purchase yardage, I would like to buy some, and I'll pay whatever I need.
Hey, I'm with you, pal. After playing with her on Sunday, I'm like, okay, there's no chance I'm ever trying to play the LPGA Tour again.
Yeah,
I would completely agree with what you said, though. First round was a little bit more relaxed and got to converse a little bit more with my Legends player, and the second round was a little bit more competitive for everybody involved, for sure. So that always takes its toll a little bit on the conversation, but I felt like I could walk up to any Legends player out there this week and have a conversation with them and introduce myself and ask any question I wanted, and that was a great feeling because they have accomplished what we are already what we're still working towards, and so so much more. So to be welcomed like that through the event was a great feeling.
That's awesome.
Fantastic. Go ahead, Cindy.
That's all right. I was waiting for you. Go ahead.
Okay. Augusta, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention this, being a fellow Canadian. Obviously, the Canadians have been sort of the story in the early part of the Symetra Tour season. Sue Kim, of course, from Langley, British Columbia, won the last event in Lake Wales, Florida. So four or five of the top 10 and 5 of the top 12 on the money list are Canadians. And, of course, Laurie Kane and Gail Graham from the Legends Tour were present this past week. Would you say that there's a lot of Canadian pride right now on the Symetra Tour?
I think so. I think that there's a lot of Canadian pride, throughout golf, and Golf Canada and different programs in Canada are doing a really great job of building golf from grassroots level up, and it's showing. It's really showing. I think through the professional and amateur ranks in tournaments, and I can't be any happier to be out here with some of my fellow Canadians and girls I grew up playing golf with, getting to compete with them every week and also hanging out with them, and getting to spend some time together.
Yeah, and I imagine with these wins happening, here early in the season, that there's getting a lot of buzz created back home as well. Are you finding that?
I do find that, yeah, and that's what I meant by a lot of Canadian pride throughout everything. People are really excited to see what's going on the women's side especially, and that's a great feeling to be a part of it.
Yeah, I think you guys are outdoing the Canadian guys, so that's kudos to the ladies. I don't hear too much buzz going on about the Canadian men, so obviously there's something working. There's got to be something in the food up there that you gals are eating that are bringing it to the sport. But that's fantastic. And Laurie, I know you've played, of course, for years on the LPGA and now on the Legends Tour and that. What did you find? And I know Cindy kind of asked a little bit about this, but obviously with the two tours combined, the Symetra and of course now the Legends Tour combined this past week, how did you find the overall experience? Is this something that you would like to see more of, more sort of combining the tours like that in different events?
I believe it's a great concept, and I think once the ladies make it to the LPGA, they may not be as open to to kind of learn or be mentored by some of the ladies that are former LPGA players. So I think it's a great concept. I missed the call. I was in bed. I was tired last night, but Mike Juan called and congratulated me, and that was pretty exciting. And he, said he looks forward to doing more events such as this, and he's anxious to hear, from everybody how it, what we thought of the event.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah. Go ahead, Cindy.
Well, Mike is just such a great commissioner. He's done so much for the LPGA to really resurrect it, to be honest with you. And he's such a warm, kind, caring person that, how cool is it that the commissioner of the LPGA called you, Lori, and congratulates you on your win? He didn't really have to do that.
I know he didn't. So, I was pretty pumped about that. That was really neat that he did that.
Yeah, he's pretty cool.
Ladies, what was sort of the first thing? Obviously, you've won the tournament respectively for each of the tours. Once the initial shock sort of wore down, what were your thoughts at that point? And does this sort of give you, obviously Augusta, this being your first major event like that, this is going to get you certainly pumped up for future events, and certainly you as well, Lori, for number 4 on the Legends Tour. What were your thoughts? Lori, we'll let you start off this time, and then Augusta, moving forward from here.
For me, it just reconfirms that my game is in pretty good shape, and looking forward to the rest of the season. Our events are a little bit more spread out than when we played on the tour. So sometimes that's hard to keep, your game prepared and ready. But, it just kind of reaffirms the last couple of years that I've been playing fairly well, and that wasn't a fluke, and that I can still be competitive, and it's fun. So just a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, definitely a lot of fun.
And Augusta, what about you?
I would say that pretty similar thing. I felt really close, and that my game was in a really good place, and that a win was out there for me, or a really good finish was out there for me. So just, it confirms for me as well that, I made the right decision to turn pro, and my game's tracking in the right direction, and that's an exciting thing, and makes me excited to play the rest of the year, and know that these opportunities are out here for me, and have a lot of confidence in that.
Well, and it's kind of special too that you won, both of you, that you won an inaugural event. I mean, this is the first Chico's Patty Berg Memorial, so it's not like it's been happening for several years. You won the very first one out of the gate, and are we going to see a repeat next year?
Of the event or of us winning? I hope
winning.
We see a repeat of the event. I hope we see a repeat of both.
I hope that the event repeats itself. Cypress Lake was a great host, and the course couldn't have been in any better shape. So I really hope that they have it there and repeat the event. As far as repeat wins go, I hope to see Lori win, and I unfortunately hope I'd love to come back to Cypress Lakes and support the Symmetric Tour, but hopefully I won't be playing that event, and I'll be playing an LPGA Tour event that time next year.
Very good. Strong points in your games, ladies. Augusta, we'll let you start off, and Lori, what's your strongest part of your game?
I would say that driving accuracy is one of my strong parts. And while I would have said that one of my weaker parts was chipping or up and down, that was definitely a strong part of my game this week, and something I've been working on a lot. And I don't know, it's tough on a week where you win. Like, you obviously put together a pretty good package of everything, right? But driving accuracy for sure, and my short game was intact very well this week. So
perfect. And Lori, what about you? What do you think is your strongest part of your game?
No question, my ball striking is the strongest part of my game. I pretty much, probably first round I hit 17 greens, in the second round maybe 15 or 16. So
wow.
I've been able to give myself opportunities for birdies a lot, and I think that just has been what's been the strong part of my game for a couple of years now. So hopefully that'll continue.
Yeah, that's incredible. 17 and 15, respectively. That's some pretty good ball. That's good ball striking. I don't care what tour you're playing on. That's
right.
incredible. That's fantastic.
Lori, let me ask you: is that due to Mike? Has Mike been helping you?
Yeah, I think just she's speaking of Mike Adams that teaches bioswing dynamics, and I think just knowing my swing, and I kind of, once I get set up, I'm pretty much good to go. So if I can keep that consistent, then I can continue to hit the ball well.
That's awesome. Augusta, do you work with anybody on your game?
I do. I've had a few really great people help me with my swing over the last few years, but right now I'm working with Karen Jansen in Charlotte, and she's been really great to me. I just recently started working with her, so it's been a really good start.
I'm good friends with Karen, and she's been on our show. In fact, we just filmed a bunch of tips for the Golf Channel a few weeks ago. She's a great woman.
Yes, she was down there. Yeah, no, like I said, it's very new, and it's been great that it's been so successful so far. So.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, ladies, we want to thank you for joining us this morning on the program, and congratulations again to both of you for winning the inaugural Chico's Patty Berg Memorial, and hopefully you ladies will come back next year and repeat not only the tournament but repeat winning and much continued success. Good luck on your quest for your LPGA card, Augusta and Lori. As always, thank you very much for joining us, and keep up the great work. I know you do a lot of things both on the course and off the course to help grow this game.
Well, thank you. It's great being with you all. And Augusta, good luck the rest of the season.
Yeah, thank you, and good luck to you as well, and thanks so much for having me on today.
All right.
Thanks,
fantastic.
Ladies. Good luck to you.
Great. Very interesting. Both fantastic ladies. Lori, of course, Cindy's been playing for a number of years, and obviously teaches as well. I see a lot of her posts and things all over social media all the time, so I know that she's very active in the game, and probably would love to be playing a little bit more often. So this was a great opportunity for her as well to get back in and be competitive, and what a great win for her.
Yes, absolutely. She's such a good player. She really is, and a good person as well. We tease each other back and forth all the time. We're pretty good friends, and she's just really solid, and she's just a great player.
Yeah, and it's just, and it's nice too to see the support for some of the young ladies coming up, like Augusta and many of the others that are playing on the Symetra Tour. I think this is they've done a phenomenal job, as you mentioned. Sort of resurrecting the LPGA, a lot of hard work, and one of the people that's done a great job is of course our next guest, Mike Nichols, on the LPGA, and now he's working diligently on the Symetra Tour to make it even a great tour in itself, a great stepping stone, if you will, road to the LPGA, as they say. And let me just tell you a little bit about him, and then we'll bring Mike on the show. Mike Nichols, of course, the Chief Business Officer of the Symetra Tour, Road to the LPGA. He was named this, I think, a little while ago. I think it's been over a year or so that he's been there. He oversees the development of the Symetra Tour's strategic plan, budget, sales, marketing, and owned events, corporate sponsorships, and tournament partner relationships, while also identifying new tournament opportunities. Since 2006, he served as the Vice President of Tournament Business Affairs at the LPGA, as I mentioned, where he was in charge of oversight of the LPGA Tour schedule and involved with many of the development and addition of numerous LPGA tournaments, and as the primary point of contact at more than 10 of the LPGA's annual sanctioned tournaments. Mike has been directly involved in tournament contract negotiations and sponsor addition and retention and the growth of the LPGA tournament schedule. So does a lot of great work, and let's bring him on here and talk to Mike Nichols from the Symetra Tour.
Morning, Mike.
Morning, guys. How are you?
We're doing great. And Mike, welcome to the Women of Golf Show. We appreciate you taking some time out of your busy schedule this morning to spend with us here with Cindy Miller and I. And
happy to do it. And Augusta James was just on before me, correct?
Yes.
Yes, as well as Lori Rinker.
Excellent. Well, let me just tell you a little something about Augusta James, a story from this past weekend. So I was fortunate enough to be out at the Chico's Patty Berg Memorial this weekend, and I came off the golf course, and I was greeted by my 9-year-old son, and he said to me, Dad, look at this. I have a game-used ball that one of the players signed when she came off the golf course. And I said, who was it? And he said, Augusta James, look, I've got her signature right here. And so, here's a young lady who had just finished her round, didn't know my son from any other kid on the golf course, and handed him an autograph ball and really got him excited about being there. So, if the future of the LPGA is in the hands of young ladies like Augusta James, we're in a really good place, and we've got a bright future.
That's sure.
That's fantastic, and I'm sure he was even super excited when he found out she won the tournament.
Absolutely. It's funny, we were driving back in the car. We unfortunately couldn't stay to the end. We were driving back in the car, and I was refreshing the feed, and I turned to him and I said, Michael, guess who's winning the tournament? And he said, who? I said, Augusta James, and he was all sorts of excited. But like I said, it's great to see a player of her caliber finally break. I mean, she just sort of started with us here this year. It's a rookie season, but that a player like that who's having success but also realizes the importance of the commitments off of the golf course, outside the ropes, because as we all know, and I'm sure you talk about it at other times, growing the game is the responsibility of all of us, and so getting young kids interested in the game and passionate about it is very important. So we're proud that our players, and here's even a rookie who we really haven't had a lot of time with, sort of talking about this stuff already understands that importance.
Exactly. Yes. Now, Mike, this was, of course, the first event with players from two different tours, Legends and the Symetra Tour. Do you think the Chico's event exceeded expectations?
I would say it did, and this week was a little bit unique in that when you normally look at the success of the tournament, you say, was it viewed as successful by the sponsor, that being Chico's? Did the fans enjoy it? Did the volunteers enjoy it? Operationally, did it run? Those are sort of the benchmarks for whether an event is ultimately successful. And this one really had a different, benchmark for me in terms of whether it was successful or not, and that was finding out from our players if the experience of walking alongside and talking to and meeting these LPGA legends and sort of being mentored by them was of value. And the resounding result was that it absolutely was. I actually had a player this morning text me. She missed the cut, so as a result of that, didn't have a chance to play with the legends, and she was saying how disappointed she was this week more than any to have missed the cut because she didn't get that interaction with the legends over the weekend. So, when you think about the opportunity for mentoring myself as a business person, and you all in media and radio, and I know Cindy, you had some time on the LPGA. If you look at the people that are available to those of us in our careers at this point who are mentors, there are thousands of people, or in some cases millions, who've been sort of in our respective positions. But the number of people who've found success in professional golf at the highest level, there are so few people to turn to as these ladies are thinking, well, who do I turn to figure out what it's going to take to get my game to the next level, and to have the legends there. They've won over 400 tournaments, 9 Hall of Famers. It's just there's so few people to be able to give them that sort of insight and guidance. It's so invaluable to them. And so from that standpoint, the event was success. And in all other measures, fans, sponsor, with Chico's, everybody was just thrilled about the experience.
Yeah. And Cindy, let me ask. Yeah, Cindy, let me ask you, because I know you've mentioned this several times in the show. I know you would agree wholeheartedly with what Mike had just said, but you've mentioned several times on the program in the past about how really giving the ladies are on the Legends Tour of their time, not just through charities and things like that, but just really helping to grow the game and giving back to the game. Is that a pretty accurate statement as well?
Well, you know what, it really is. And for me, when I play in the Legends Tour event, because I'm not a Hall of Famer and I wasn't a star on the LPGA, so I'm still under construction personally. So when I get done playing, in a Legends event, I go back out on the golf course and watch the leaders because I want to see what they're doing that I'm not doing. So if you are teachable, Kathy Whitworth gave me a lesson last year at the French Lick event in Indiana. I mean, the woman, they're all so caring and giving. In fact, Hollis Stacy gave Lori Rinker a tip before she teed off, which about her ball position, and it helped her shoot 67. So I must say that the women of golf, they're just amazing, and they're so giving and caring, and it's really, really cool. Mike, I am going to mention something to you that I would like you to spread the word about. I'm going to be, or am involved as a mentor for Trilogy Athletes, which is like a locker room for life for elite athletes and Olympians. And I would like you to be able to spread the word, and there's a bunch of former tour players that are a part of this, as well as Paige McKenzie. And it's a place where these girls can call and email and talk to us. In fact, I was in communication with one of your Symetra Tour players about contracts, center of contracts, because these girls, they don't know where to go, like you said. So spread the word that there is help out there and have them reach out.
Excellent. Well, that's great to know, Cindy, and I definitely will do that. And just to echo what Cindy's saying, I think as we all get to where we are in our various stages of career, we all kind of have the, gosh, if I knew then what I know now, I would be so much better or be able to do that. And I think that's what happens with a lot of these golfers. I mean, Meg Mallon has talked very openly about the fact that she started her career on the Symetra Tour, and she was with us for 2 years, long time, obviously, before it was called the Symetra Tour, but talks about how that invaluable that was. So when Meg comes out and participates in an event like this, Chico's Patty Berg Memorial this past weekend, she sees herself in those players just 20 years ago. And so as Cindy said, the idea for them to be able to give back and sort of, they've already accomplished what they're accomplished. Meg's already won her, 3 or 4 majors, and the other players who are in the Hall of Fame and whatnot, they've accomplished everything, and so the one way that they can still continue to contribute to the game is to help the next generation along.
Yeah, and that is so important. I think that, the Symetra Tour players can learn so much, and I'm sure learned a lot this past weekend from the Chico's event, from some of the Legends players and that. Mike, let me ask you, you've obviously enjoyed a tremendous amount of success working with the LPGA as their VP of Tournament Business Affairs. What do you think that you've learned from that position that you want to sort of filter into what you're doing now on the Symetra Tour? What do you hope to bring from that experience on the LPGA?
Sure. So on that, in the LPGA, obviously the size and magnitude of the events are larger. You've got the TV. Everything is just bigger. It's just so we're the LPGA is sort of the Symetra Tour on steroids. So what we're trying to do on the Symetra Tour, the number one thing we're trying to do is recreate the experience for the players inside the ropes as much as possible. It's rare. It will probably never have a sort of wall-to-wall coverage of our events on television, and the fans are never going to be as big, and the event is never going to be of the same size. But what we can do is replicate as close as possible is the experience that the players have on the Symetra Tour. So when they get to the LPGA Tour, it's not such a sort of a culture shock. So what we've done is we've tried to, as much as possible, align our rules and regulations, a lot of stuff that's sort of inside baseball, stuff. But if you're a player, when you arrive on site, the process of registering for the tournament's the same. We use the same pace of play regulations. So it's not like you succeed on the Symetra Tour, you get to the LPGA Tour, and it's a completely foreign animal. So we've tried to do that, and I think the other thing we've really tried to focus on is the quality of the golf courses. When I joined the tour a little over, almost 3 years ago now, some of the golf courses we played were not, I would say, of the best caliber. So as we've grown the tour from 15 events a couple years ago to now 23 this year, we've really spent a lot of time focusing on saying, is this a venue that that could host an LPGA Tour event? And I'm proud to say that success breeds success, and so as we've grown the schedule, we've had more interest from higher quality venues. And so if I were to look at an event on the Symetra Tour and say, could an LPGA event happen at the golf courses you play, the answer is yes. And so ultimately that's why the tour exists, is to get these young ladies ready for success on the LPGA Tour. And so to the extent that we can replicate that experience on the Symetra Tour, that's what we've tried to bring over from the LPGA Tour side of the house.
Yeah, and you guys have been doing a great job. Let me ask you one, just sort of a follow-up question, if I can, Mike. Obviously, we know, as Cindy has alluded to, and many others that have been on the program, some of the ladies on the Legends Tour and even the LPGA Tour are actively involved out in the community to really help grow this game. Is there an opportunity, or is there a mechanism in place for maybe some of the Symetra Tour players, especially some of them being as young as they are, to maybe be active in the community to really attract other young ladies that might have an interest in the game as well?
Sure. So the thing that we do, again, in trying to, and I probably was remiss in not mentioning this, in replicating the experiences, we try to have the same sort of commitments on their time outside the ropes on the Symetra Tour. So this weekend we're playing in Sarasota, and I was looking on our social media. We had a lot of players who were out helping host a golf clinic yesterday with a bunch of the youth there in the Sarasota area who are a member of the First Tee chapter over there. We do hospital and community visits where we go out to the various nonprofits that are the beneficiaries of our tournaments. We have the players engaged in media interviews in the communities just like they are in the LPGA. So as Cindy can attest to, the management of the 4 to 5 hours that you're inside the ropes is a fraction of what it takes to become a successful LPGA Tour player. It's how do you manage your time with all of the other directions you're being pulled on. So our players are very focused on going out and trying to grow the game in the cities in which we go to, and they're committed to it. And to that end, the first player I ever met on the Symetra Tour a couple of years ago was a young lady by the name of Dolores White. She's not on the tour anymore, but I asked her where she was from, and she said she was from Lakeland, Florida. And I said, well, we used to have a Symetra Tour in Lakeland, Florida a number of years ago. Did you ever go? And she said, well, when I was 6 years old, my parents took me to that tournament, and that's what got me interested in the game of golf, and that's really why I'm here today, is because I went to that tournament as a youth. So it's really cool to have seen that come full circle. 15 years after she probably went to that tournament, here she is a player on the Symetra Tour. So it's very much a part of our focus on the Symetra Tour, as it is with the LPGA and with our girls golf program that we have over 265 chapters throughout the country. So the LPGA as an overall organization realizes that, as I was mentioning earlier, if the game of golf is going to continue to grow, we've got to be reaching out to our youth very actively right now.
Yeah, and Cindy,
sure.
Cindy, you can attest to that as well.
I run the LPGA Girls Golf Club of Buffalo, so absolutely true. We would go to the Wegmans event every year. I mean, these girls, their mouths were hanging open, and there was, in fact, one of the girls had taken a picture with Michelle Wee, and it was posted on the LPGA website, and this little girl is now playing in U.S. kids golf tournaments and is going to their world championships in Pinehurst. So it's all about inspiring, mentoring, and motivating people to, even if you're not a tour player. I have a daughter who can barely break 90, but she's a producer at the Golf Channel. So it doesn't matter what you do. You just have to expose them and inspire them. So, Mike, I have to ask you about your event that you're now creating in Rochester.
Yeah, so we've there's the event we've just started in Rochester called the Danielle Downey Classic. It's sponsored by Toyota, and as I'm sure you know and have probably talked about on the show before, the LPGA Championship ended its run in Rochester, and so the LPGA wasn't going to be in Rochester for the first time in about 30 years. And so as the Symetra Tour, we saw this as an opportunity to say, here's a community that's really supported women's golf for a long time. And so there's a country club there called Brookley Country Club in Rochester. It's a beautiful little Donald Ross course, and there was a player who played on both the Symetra Tour and LPGA tours named Danielle Downey, who hailed from that club, and she was tragically killed in a car accident last year. And so the gentleman there, who's a member of that club and has been a huge supporter of the Symetra Tour, wanted to host an event at her club to memorialize her, have that tournament there in her memory. So it's going to be a special event for us on the Symetra Tour. We're excited because we're anticipating some of the biggest crowds we're going to have all year. But and Nancy Lopez is, sort of as the first lady of Rochester, she's going to come back and serve as an honorary chairwoman of the event. So it's going to be a really special week, and we're just excited to host an event in a town like Rochester that's embraced women's golf for so long, and we're optimistic that they'll do the same with the Symetra Tour, and all indications so far are that that's going to be the case.
Well, we're very excited because all my girls were so sad that there wasn't going to be a tournament. So thank you.
Well, we'll be more than happy to have them out. You know, I just wanted to follow up on what you were saying about your daughter being in golf. Dolores White, who I was mentioning, she ultimately didn't make it to the LPGA Tour, but she's enjoying a career as a membership director of a private country club outside Washington, D.C. So like you said, the girls' golf program isn't necessarily about creating the next LPGA Tour players, but it's just getting young girls interested in the game of golf. And, you know, you sort of think about the path that Dolores, if she hadn't gone to that tournament, what the difference might have been. She may never have found golf or a career in golf that we're all fortunate to have and love. So it's a really great program, and thank you, Cindy, for being a part of those, help developing those young girls in the Buffalo area.
I absolutely love it. It's the best. Well, I wouldn't. Yeah, they absolutely make my day. And you know, it's funny. My husband Alan, who played on the men's tour for a long time and still teaches with me, and he won't get mad at me if I tell you he's 67 years old. And I was helping a little girl the other day, and he walked over and he pulled on her ponytail. He goes, "Okay, I pulled on my one ponytail for the day. I'm all set." You know, because we just. It's just so fun to help these kids and see the light in their eyes and their enthusiasm. So I'm thrilled and honored and blessed to be able to work with them all.
You know, and Mike, you really hit it the nail right on the head. It's not necessarily about. I mean, ultimately, it would be great to have more players on the LPGA and subsequently the Symetra Tour, but. It's just about introducing people to the game, and whether they become a top player or play in a tour event ever in their life, or they see the value as a business tool that golf can be, that obviously men have enjoyed that luxury for many, many decades. Women are starting to grow, and individuals like Cindy Miller and some of the other great ladies on the Legends Tour have been around the game for years. Some of them, of course, are still playing competitive golf, but many of them have run successful businesses outside of the golf course, playing, week in, week out, and are helping to grow the game in a different way as well. So obviously that's something that I'm sure that you're trying to do as well with what you're doing here on the Symetra Tour.
Absolutely. You know, at the end of the day, we graduate 10 young ladies from the Symetra Tour onto the LPGA Tour, and then another about 5 of our players will come through the qualifying school. So typically, of the 30 new players who are on the LPGA Tour each year, about half of them are people who've played on the Symetra Tour in the prior season. But that leaves another 130 who didn't make it. And so, you know, to the extent that the game of golf can introduce them to other people who are in the business world, or they can make sort of contacts and network. I mean, as Cindy can probably attest to, you know, the most popular person in the office is the young lady who can hit it 200 yards off the tee from the ladies' forward tees that can come out to the charity golf scramble and make sure they have a wedge in their hand the whole way around. And you know, and I say that sort of jokingly, but by being that young lady in the office who might be the one golfer who gets invited exclusively because of her golf prowess, well, now she's networking with a bunch of people that she might not otherwise meet in the company or with other companies and things like that. So that's my goal with my 7-year-old daughter, is to get her to the point with her golf game where she can be somebody who is at least an accomplished enough golfer that it can help her as a business tool as she whatever her career choice might be.
You're absolutely right. I gave a lesson. There was a mom last night who brought 3 of her 4 daughters who live locally, who are all now working at a different bank or an insurance company or an engineering company. That one was an engineer, one was in finance, and one is in insurance. And they all know the value of learning to play the game. And so I said, okay, there happens to be a book that I wrote in the pro shop, $14.99. Go buy it, Golf 101 for Executives, because your personal stock value will go beyond the roof and give you access if you know how to do this.
Yeah, absolutely, and I can even say personally, obviously not from the obviously I'm not a young lady, but that, by virtue of being in golf, I think I was 26 years old when I made my first presentation to the CEO of a company to be the title sponsor of the Champions Tour event that I was running at that time. And I remember thinking to myself, if it wasn't for golf, I would never be in this position of sitting across from this CEO. I'm thinking to myself, There's probably 90% of the people in this company have probably not met this guy, and here I am at 26 years old trying to get him to give me $1 million a year to save that Champions Tour event. And sure enough, it worked out. But golf, it's amazing in terms of breaking down barriers and stereotypes and ages and all of that kind of stuff. So if through the girls' golf program we can get young girls into the game and make sure it's a part of their successful careers going forward, I think that's to me the long-term win.
Mike, let me ask you, with the obvious success of the last weekend's Chico's event, do you foresee any other events that may cross over with tours in the future? Is there any other similar products that you're looking at maybe introducing a similar type of event?
Yeah, so that event, to a certain degree, came about with a conversation I was having with the commissioner about on the LPGA Tour possibly creating a past, present, and future event in the fall of the year where we would take some of the legends along with the current LPGA Tour players and the 10 Symetra players who've graduated and sort of have an official LPGA event in which all three tours were competing. So that's something that's definitely percolating in the back rooms on the LPGA Tour, but as we were talking about that, he said, hey, do you think we could do something on the Symetra Tour with the legends came together? So this was a little bit of the boiling pot beaker for what we might see on the LPGA Tour. But on the Symetra Tour, there's definitely been some interest from some of our other events. The challenge, as you might expect, is instead of a sponsor paying for one purse, they have to pay for two purses. So there's a little bit more incremental cost. But I think for the right city, for the right sponsor, I think there are certain places where we may go back to some places like a Rochester where the LPGA has been, where they know all of the legends players and might embrace the concept of both tours. So it's definitely something that is the head of this tour I'm looking forward as something that we can take and recreate in other cities.
Well, thank you for seeing the value, because I really, really appreciate it. And I know that, my buddies appreciate the opportunity to play, and we also love to give back to the game. So I appreciate all that you're doing, you and Mike and everybody down at headquarters.
Well, I appreciate that, Cindy, and there's no question. My goal is obviously these players that the interaction that they had this week at the Chico's Patty Berg Memorial. It was an interaction over the course of 4 hours, but I hope it's one of those. I hope it's a friendship that they feel comfortable picking up the phone and calling them any time throughout the year, and that it's something that extends much further beyond the 4 hours that they played this weekend. So the more we can do it, the more we can create these interactions and create lifelong friendships. I think it's beneficial for the Legends Tour, but I think it's more so beneficial for our players to be able to glean that experience from players who've been there and had success at the highest level.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Mike, just one last final question. I know we have to let you go as we're winding down the program, but how many events are currently now on the Symetra Tour, and is there a number of events that you're looking to sort of grow it to?
Yeah, so we're at 23 events this year, and as I mentioned, we were at 15 a couple years ago. So we're kind of getting into the sweet spot for us. I would say that hopefully by the end of this year, we'll announce a 25 or 26 event season for next year, and I think that's probably where we'll stop the schedule growth, mainly because if the LPGA is playing a 32, 33 event schedule, the players are playing about 26 times. So at the end of the day, our tour, we're trying to replicate a full season on the LPGA Tour. So by playing 26 events, and that's what you play on the LPGA Tour, I think that's a good representative sample, and that's a lot of golf for these young ladies. So I think we're very close to where we want to be.
Yeah, that's incredible to even see that kind of growth in such a short period of time. Fantastic. Well, Mike, we want to thank you for coming on the Women of Golf show this morning. Cindy Miller and I, of course, appreciate the time that you've given, and much continued success. I think it was a great event last weekend, and as it is every week. But I think it's turning a new milestone, if you will, for the golf industry to see what you're doing and how you're growing this stepping stone, if you will, to the LPGA Tour. And I know that you'll continue to further this brand, and we appreciate you giving us some time this morning.
Well, thank you all for giving me some time to talk about it, and we're very proud of the success and the ladies out on the Symetra Tour, and so happy to come back on again in the future if you'll have me.
Thank
you so much, Mike.
Yeah, we would love to have you. And all right, have a great day, Mike.
Bye-bye now.
All right,
bye-bye.
Wow, what a great great spokesperson, really for the Symetra Tour, and they're just doing a lot of great work.
Absolutely, yep. And they've really grown it. So, Mike and Mike, it's the Mike and Mike show. I know there's an awful lot of people behind the scenes, but still, great spokespeople, great builders, and truly champions for women's golf, which is awesome.
Yeah, exactly. Cindy and I, of course, want to thank, again, our guests, Augusta James and Lori Rinker, the winners of last weekend's Chico's Patty Berg Memorial. Augusta, of course, being the Symetra Tour player, and Lori, of course, the Legends Tour player. We want to congratulate both of them again on job well done, and hope that they continue to have success on whatever avenue that they may be traveling in the future. And, of course, to Mike Nichols, the Chief Business Officer of the Symetra Tour, thank you for joining us today. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in each and every week to the Women of Golf. We hope you enjoy the broadcast. And remember to tune in next Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, where you will find Cindy Miller and myself, Ted Odorico, here on the program. And thank you for all your continued support. And Cindy, thank you for all that you do in helping to grow the game. And as I've said many times, and will gladly say again, you're probably one of the hardest working women in golf today, and we appreciate everything that you do.
Well, thank you, Ted. And I will see you next week. Have a great week.
All right. Have a great week, everybody.